Welcome to HueLike vlog. This channel is primarily about books, but we will also be talking about self-help and things like inspiration and manifestation. Today I went to Isha's school for the parent-teacher meeting and I saw two students where the students and their parents were having some arguments relating to the marks with the teacher, and the students were trying to justify what they had written. In all these, the marks, the score that they got, even 2-3 marks, that is important for the students, but of course the teacher also has their valid points and they also want the good of the students. So I thought I should say something about preparing for the exams and writing the papers. I have been guiding Isha on how to write the papers, write the exams, prepare for the exams, and I will be sharing some of those tips in this video. First, usually we see that everyone keeps saying to the student that you should study, but the word study itself is very vague. By itself, the word study makes no sense. Study can be anything. It can be reading, it can be practicing answer writing, it can be writing the notes, it can be revising the subject matter. The word study has so many things in it that it really confuses the student. After all, the purpose of all studies is to get good marks in the exam. So we must look at studies from the point of view of exams. And what is, from the perspective of the exams, there is only one thing that is most critical. Let's ask this question: what exactly happens in the exam during those 2 hours or 3 hours of the exam duration? There is a question in front of you and you have to write the answer. And what is the link between that question and that answer that you are going to write? And the word is recall. It is the ability to recall, how efficiently you are able to recall the things that you have studied in the exam, that really goes into the quality of the answer. During those exam hours, it doesn't matter how many hours you have studied, the notes you have made, or how many books you have read. All these are meaningless if you are not able to recall. If I put it another way, if you have made no notes and read your subject matter only once, but you are able to recall the answer during those hours, then you can very well excel in the exam. I am not saying don't make notes. They are necessary, but for the exams, during those particular hours, most important requirement is your ability to recall. Memorizing a subject is not recall. If you have a strong memory, it doesn't mean that you will be able to recall a particular thing under the pressure of the exam hours. Memory is like a storage of various data and information. Recall is retrieving the memory, retrieving that memory from whichever storage point in your brain those information, those data has been stored. And there are special neuron cells that are involved in our recall abilities. So when preparing for the exams, try to recall the matter you studied or practiced. The more you will engage in recall, better will be your performance in the exams. Second, the exams today are not tests of knowledge. They are primarily tests of speed. Suppose the same paper that you find difficult, if you are given 10 hours to solve it, will you be able to do? Will you be able to solve it? Surely everyone will be able to do it. And everyone will be able to write the answers in those long hours. It's not that students don't know the answers. It is their recall abilities that are put to stress in those 3 hours. The exam system values those students who are able to solve the questions within those given hours. It is like running a 100 meters race. Everyone can run 100 meters. But how many can run 100-meter race within 10 seconds? If you can run 100 meters within 10 seconds, you can become world famous and rich. Similar is the situation with the exams. If you can finish the paper within those hours, you will have chances of scoring higher than those who couldn't finish the paper. So our first criteria to tackle the exams is our ability to recall, and the second is speed. Thirdly, the most important aspect is that you have to know the language of the subject. And what do I mean when I say the language of the subject? It means that every subject has its own language, its own vocabulary, its own presentation. Writing the answer of each subject needs to have its own language, whether it's English or Hindi or physics or chemistry or biology or the social sciences like history, civics, economics, geography. The preparation for these subjects or the way the answers are written for these subjects, the approach to each of these have to be unique and different. You just cannot apply the same methods of writing to all the subjects because each of the subject requires their own unique language skills. Let's take an example, a very simple example. Let's say a question is write a short note on salt. In the English language, it may come as an essay on salt. Then you will write that this salt is important part of food. We sprinkle salt to make food tasty. You may also write about the different kinds of salts like white salt, black salt, pink salt. You may mention that you like street food because they have a salty taste. But if this same question is a chemistry question, the answer in English won't work. Here you will have to mention acidic salt, basic salt, neutral salt. You will have to mention the kind of bonds like the ionic bond which the salts have. You can give examples like sodium chloride, calcium carbonate, etc. Here if you write about white, black or pink salt, the examiner won't give marks. Similarly, if the question of salt comes in history, then you have to mention the role of salt played in the freedom struggle. You have to mention the Dandi Yatra of Gandhiji. If it is a question of geography, then you have to mention the places where salt mines exist. Even use a map to mark those locations where salt is found. So the important point to remember is that each subject has its own vocabulary that needs to be used to write answers. Every subject is a technical subject, and the technical language and requirements of that subject has to be used for the answer writing. To recap, first, increase your recall abilities. Practice the ability to recall what you have studied. Second, increase the speed of writing answers. And third, use the technical language of the subject when you write an answer. I hope this will be useful for you during preparation of the exam and also writing of the answers in the exams. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. For more such awesome content, please subscribe, like and share.